All right, welcome back to Ethical Post. I was going to get straight into the director of national intelligence stuff this morning, but I just thought maybe I'd start with what made me decide to do this. I read a lot. I read books, a lot of newspaper publications. I watch every news station. I'm not going to say I read every article from top to bottom, but it's kind of hard to do that when you have a real life and there's so much, or so many different platforms out there. I at least catch the top headline articles but Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, those are all good places to get information. I mean, really, if you really want the information, you need to read. I use an app called GIS, Geopolitical Intelligence Service. That's a really good one because, I mean, what he says might be politically biased. I don't know, but it seems to be pretty neutral. It talks a lot about world issues, which is you need to know about world issues if you're going to sit here and make judgments on our president about what he's doing internationally. That's pretty plain and simple. Most people, I don't think they've ever considered. Okay, so CNN reports on something, Fox reports on something. Where are they getting their info from? If they're, you see what I'm saying? Something happens in China, some riot in Hong Kong. How many people do you think CNN has over there that they're putting in harm's way? That's in the middle of downtown Hong Kong where people are getting shot with beanbag guns and stuff. Do you think they really have people over there? No, they get it from somewhere. So if you look for where they get it from, then you're a step ahead of the game. If you could just get the information from as close to the actual source as you can, then you can take this information in and you can decide, you'll know what's going on behind the scenes. If you do it that way, then when you watch whatever news station that you like to watch, then you can kind of understand where they're coming from better. Because they may only have 2-3 minutes, maybe 5. Sometimes, you got like Tucker Carlson and Hannity and those guys, they get a long time to speak. But even then, it's for you to really understand what they're talking about in that short period of time, you really need to already have an understanding of what they're talking about in the first place. Because if not, then you're only going to be able to pick bits and pieces off the top. So if you really want to know what's going on, guys, you got to do a little bit of research. It's not hard. I don't know how much time you spend on your phone a day, scrolling through Facebook. Just Facebook. Most people are on Facebook or retweeting. And I mean, I have a Twitter. I'm not getting out on Twitter, but I spend my time reading, educating myself. I mean, I read about everything, not just politics. But you don't. Another thing, don't discredit yourself if you don't have a college degree. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to get into politics. I mean, I didn't even go to school. I just, you say you work at a local gas station or you've been a beer truck driver for 20 years. That doesn't mean you can't get into politics. We need more people like you in politics, more people that have real world experience. Just because you have real world experience doesn't necessarily mean that you might be good at that, but it's worth a try. We need more people like that. So hopefully some of you people might start following my videos. I'm not really sure on how I'm going to help this branch out, but we'll take it as it comes. I'm just going to keep posting, keep doing what I've been doing. I mean, I've been following stuff like this I've been exclusively following all media for probably about 10 years. And that's left, right, middle, foreign policy. I might get banned for this. Alex Jones, I read a lot of your stuff. A lot of people say you're paranoid. I know you have a lot of disinformation about you. You have to read Alex Jones's stuff with a very, very neutral mindset. You can't assume that the stuff's conspiracy theory, but you can't assume that it's all true. Now, it is all true, but it's so many things tied together at once that people get scared or they get nervous. They don't know how to handle those emotions. And they're like, "Oh, this is bullshit. He's just crazy. He's talking too fast." He's not. He's got a lot. He's got a lot of good stuff in there. And if, like I said, if you go in with a level head, don't let your emotions take over your thoughts when you're trying to figure out, where he's coming from and what he's talking about. There's a lot of things that he can and can't say. I guess that's what it seems. But he does the best job he can of getting the message across. So, I mean, not everybody's into it. He's not my number one guy, but he's really good for fact checking. I mean, he was the first person I saw anywhere on the internet to release the whistleblower document. Everybody should read that. I've noticed on CNN, they this morning I watched a video, and the guy that was reporting, they had a little tag in the bottom corner of his when he was reporting, and it said, "Read the document," read whistleblower complaint. They've put out, I don't know how many reports they put out on the past few days, but none of those people had even read the report. Is that not confusing to anybody? How can you report all of these ideas about this complaint, which you've already been doing for more than a week, but just in the past couple of days, the complaint's out. I downloaded it off the internet. I mean, what's your excuse, guys? Do you have one? I mean, I know you don't, because you're still reporting bad about it right now. It's just confusing to me. I think that it's productive in almost all senses to have left, right. You have to have balance, not far right and not far left. That's not the kind of balance that we need. We got to have some people in the middle. So hopefully some of those people will stand up. I doubt it, but from what I see, our country's moving in a pretty good direction. Let me get into this. I call it an interrogation, but I guess it was just the Director of National Intelligence testifying yesterday. Well, I've been wearing sunglasses because my eye's swollen. I didn't get beat up. I don't really like to fight, but I can't read my laptop with those on. So they accused a few people of doing wrong here. Obviously the DNI, because he was under investigation. They got on Rudy Giuliani a good bit. Obviously the president, we know that's where the main attack was going, but basically what I saw, I watched the whole thing, but what I gathered from it, and the best way I can summarize it in not an extremely long period of time, is they're calling people at the top of the game. And I'm not saying Rudy Giuliani, because he's not, I mean, he is at the top of his game, but he's not defending our nation's secrets per se. So, but to call the Director of National Intelligence and the President of the United States unpatriotic and questioning their ethics, and I mean, I understand, like, questioning is good, but how can you call somebody that's been in the military for 30 years, has done God knows what for this country, trained people to do amazing things. I'm sure hundreds of people he's trained. I mean, I don't know too much about it. I'm not privy to that sort of information, but I would say that dude is a very, very important part of military history, and he's made a very good name for himself. And he wasn't given that job because Trump thought he was gonna cover shit up for him. It's probably the complete opposite. I'd imagine if I could sit down in a room with Trump and Mr. McGuire, that Trump would tell me that he put him in that place because he knows that he's not gonna lie. That's my best guess. Why do you think he didn't grab somebody from the CIA and put him in that job? I don't know. It's a good question. Do some research. You can figure it out. An important part of Mr. Schiff's interrogation, which was the most disturbing to me, he must not read up on his policy. So we got the Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004. Basically, I'm not going to read it to you, but basically it says that, I'm not sure how it was before 2004, but I know that what this act says is the Director of National Intelligence, if the president says, "Hey, come here, bud, I need to talk to you about something," Like drops what he's doing and he goes to the president. He is whatever the president says he's supposed to do. Now, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying that if he tells Mr. McGuire to cover stuff up that he's going to do it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that they have information that us, the public, or we, the public, are not. We don't know how to handle that information. It's clear. If you've been following all of these leaks and all this stuff that's happened over the years, we can't handle that. We don't know what to do with that. We get scared. We get emotional. We want to blame people. We want to point fucking fingers, you know. Oh, I need to stop cussing. Sorry. But if you could handle that information, you'd have a job with a security clearance. Okay? That's just join the military. Join the military. Tell them you want to serve your country in the highest form and that you want to put yourself in dangerous situations and that you want to risk your life for the rest of the country and that you're going to do it for not a lot of money. So if you want to complain about anything to do with a director of national anything, if it says intelligence, they see stuff that you can't handle. So talking about that too much, it really bothers me. Let's see what else we got here. We got the overview of the actual complaint for those of you who haven't read it. I can put a link in the video at the bottom to it. You can go to, I think I got it off of News Wars. It might have been on InfoWars, but either way, just go to one of those publications. You'll be able to find it there. You can download it, save it on your computer. I saved it all over the place just in case it ever disappears. You never know these days. Oh, where are we at? Most important part. Based off of an argument from a second party source. So, I mean, I've known this for a few days because, I mean, I've been keeping up with it. I know I'm a little bit later on this publication than I want it to be, but publication, that's not the right word. I'm getting better at this. I'll get better. But anyways, second party source. I mean, does anybody even know what that means? That means someone that might have seen it told him about it, and then he reported on it. Multiple people, supposedly. I think 12 was the number. It's not wine, it's coffee. Second party source, guys. I know I said in my first video, the best source is yourself. I mean, obviously, sometimes you're going to get information from other people, but if an informant tells an informant who tells a cop that you did something wrong, can you go straight to jail for that and be prosecuted? I mean, I'm not a legal expert, but I don't think you can. Through the grapevine, almost like a middle school rumor, is not good enough to get someone expelled. You know, if the rumor's going around the school that you have some weed in your locker and you really don't, the principal can't just kick you out of school because a bunch of people were talking about it. That's pretty much the scenario that we have here. It's frustrating. I mean, yes, I like Donald Trump, and I think he's a great president. Is he the best president in the history of the United States? No. Is he the best president we have right now? Yes. You can't argue with that. He's our president. That's just end of story. Whether you like it or not, he's our president. So if you want our country to move in the right direction, you got to support him. You don't have to vote for him. That's what people don't seem to understand. Just because you didn't vote for Trump doesn't mean he's not your president. This is something that I hear a lot of people say on some of the InfoWars stuff. He's your president. Doesn't matter. They tried to use the director of national security to get to Trump. I don't think it worked out too good for him. But like I said, I call it the democratic interrogation. You got to be careful with the word interrogation, though. That's something that nobody wants to talk about. We like to come after our military people for it. Especially, I can't remember his name. Vice News did something on him. They called him the architect of torture. Y'all know about that? Probably not. So, waterboarding. They talk about that. Basically, you're pouring water on the person's face. It makes them feel like they're drowning. I can imagine it's a very scary thought. I've never had it done to me, but that's not as bad as having your fingers cut off. Or, and there's a lot of countries that they stone women in the street. People go out in the street in the middle of town square and they throw rocks at women. That's pretty disturbing if you ask me. I don't think I would participate in that, but if you grow up in that culture, that's all you know. You think that's okay. So any oppression argument is pretty much out the window at that point, if you know that. You don't have to study a lot of different areas of the world to see that nothing about us is being oppressed here, by the way. That's something I hear a lot. And I don't think anything that our high office not high office, that the president and his people are doing is unethical or unpatriotic. You may not agree with it. You have that right. You don't have to agree with him, but he's still your president. And if he's anything, you could say all the bad stuff. You could say that he talks out of his ass. Sometimes he might say something that comes off the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. But you can't argue. You can't say that he's not a patriot. You can't say that. I mean, he's pretty much lived what I would think the American dream is. I don't know. He seems to support our country. And I think that if somebody were to challenge us, I think that he would stand up and he would fight for you. And that's what a patriot is supposed to do, is to not necessarily physically fight for his country, but to stand up for the Constitution and what's right. Let's see what we got. That's pretty unproductive. I didn't follow any of the stuff I was going to talk about, and I talked about a bunch of different random stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and hang this video up. Didn't get my format the way I wanted to. We'll work on that. Just kind of woke up and did this today. Before I end, just wanted to say there's a few people that have been, people that I follow, but I also say that are, inspirational. I figure if I want to get into this sort of thing, that this is the time to do it. I know that I may have problems possibly being put out there in the way that other videos could have been put out there in the past, but I'm going to take my chances. Hopefully somebody will recognize. I'll post it in the right place. I'm thinking about I wanted to ask Steven Crowder, which I don't think he'll watch this video, but if he does, I've heard you say that you want more people to do Change Your Mind. So if I do a Change My Mind video, can I put Change My Mind, or do I need to word it differently, or what do I need to do so that I can get the kind of conversation started that you get started? Because it's something that I've really always done my whole life with people. Some people call me argumentative, but I'm not. I prefer debate. I don't like arguments. People get emotional in arguments. I don't. They get pissed off. It never ends pretty. But for inspiration, Steven Crowder, Liberty Hangout, y'all are awesome. Caitlin Bennett and your fiance, I don't know your name, but I know you started Liberty Hangout. Y'all are awesome. Alex Jones, anything to do with InfoWars, y'all got good stuff. Y'all put in a lot of work. It's really sad that y'all have been taken off the way y'all have, but I keep up with y'all. Joe Rogan, best interviewer. Your ability to stay neutral all the time. I mean, I see you get frustrated sometimes, and sometimes you gotta stand up for your point, but relatively speaking, you try to stay as neutral as possible, and that's very respectable. Senator Rand Paul, I know he's not going to watch this, but you always say what's right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this one up. I'm going to have my Twitter down below. You can follow me on there. I don't retweet a lot of stuff. I just made all of these media profiles yesterday, so I'm just trying to get started up. I'm just going to keep posting, try to get a little bit more organized here, and maybe throw up something a little bit better later here today.